So we've already talked a little bit about uniform circular motion because we talked about centripetal acceleration. This also won't be the last time we talk about circular motion because we'll revisit this when we talk about gravitation and orbits and things like that. So for uniform circular motion, again, it's when an object moves in a circle or around a circular arc. So we might have a car going over a bump in the road or a valley, or rounding a curve if there's friction involved that's causing that circular motion. And that circular arc, they're going at a constant speed. And we call that constant speed v, even though v stands for velocity. Remember, this is a constant speed, not a constant velocity, because since we're moving in a circle, that velocity vector is constantly changing direction. Okay, so remember the centripetal acceleration is directed towards the center of the circle, and the equation for centripetal acceleration is v squared over r, where v is our magnitude of velocity, or our speed, our constant speed, and r is the radius of that circle. So because there is an acceleration, there has to be a force directed toward the center of the circle as well. And of course, we know that force is equal to mass times acceleration. So force is equal to mass times centripetal acceleration. So mv squared over r. Now, the centripetal force here can be any force that's causing circular motion. So we call this a general force because centripetal force could be gravity if we're talking about, maybe a motorcycle rider jumping from one end of I don't know, from one side of a ravine to the other, right? Like we're talking about a daredevil motorcycle. If we're talking about that kind of circular motion, that's the force of gravity that's making them go in kind of a circular arc. It could be friction, like I said, if we're rounding a curve, the centripetal force could be the force of friction. It could also be the normal force if we're talking about something like a Ferris wheel. When you're sitting on the Ferris wheel, as you round the curve on the bottom, the normal force is the one that's directed toward the center of the circle. It could be a combination of forces too, because the normal force up, force of gravity down as you're going around that Ferris wheel. And we'll do an example like that as well. So like I said, because there are a bunch of different forces that can cause circular motion, then we call this a general force. And when something causes circular motion, so say if friction's causing circular motion, you would set the force of friction here equal to mv squared over r. So you'd have mu times normal force equals mv squared over r, and then go from there. And again, we will do a bunch of examples with this, so hopefully it will be very clear.